Wow, that was a statement from Arsenal, and I think that's exactly what Arsenal needed. A 5-0 win, an annihilation, a domination from minute 1 to minute 90. Had Arsenal scraped a 1-0 win or won not very convincingly, I think there would have still been a little bit of doubt around Arsenal. But they've won this game 5-0, and they're like, yeah, we're back. We're in the title race. Yeah, we had a blip, but don't write us off. Don't ask us questions. And as a rival, it makes me a bit scared because I don't want Arsenal to win the league or get anywhere near the league. But it says, look, this Arsenal team, don't write them off just because they had a bad spell. This is how they respond. And the 5-0 win is massive because it's that confidence. It's that statement to Liverpool, statement to City. But confidence the Arsenal players are going to get from knowing we've won this game 5-0. We've smashed Crystal Palace. We've dominated Crystal Palace. And I have to say there was loads of positives to take from this game that for Arsenal. Raya, you can see his distribution, why he starts at a Ramsdale. That throw from David Raya was unbelievable. You can look at Declan Rice just looking brilliant as always. Saliba looking brilliant as always. Gabriel Magalhaes, brilliant as always. 2 goals. I think he only technically got 1. But you looked at Emile Smith-Rowe coming on and how sharp he was and how much more dynamic he was. And I think that Arsenal got so much better when Emile Smith-Rowe came on. The left half space dynamic changed when Emile Smith-Rowe and Martinelli came on. And I'm going to talk about why they were game changers for Arsenal, because while Havertz is good at duels and bombing the box and that kind of stuff, Emile Smith-Rowe made Arsenal look more fluid in their attack. They made them attack the space, move the ball quicker, which made Martinelli get better. And Martinelli's had a bit of an iffy season. He was brilliant last season. He was very good last season, but this season hasn't been the same. And some question marks have been, is he missing that Xhaka presence? Is it because Arsenal aren't really progressing the ball as quick in the midfield? They need that left centre mid as well as needing that striker. And I thought that Emile Smith-Rowe, although he didn't get the assist, you could just see the play flow a bit quicker and the ball move a bit quicker. And then Martinelli's got the ball in more dangerous areas, can be making those runs and counter-attacking. And Martinelli got 2 massive, fantastic goals, well-taken goals from Martinelli as well. And I think that will be massive for Martinelli and the course of his season, just because I think he needs confidence. I don't think Martinelli's a bad player. He's been in bad form, but that 2 goals is going to be massive confidence as well. But what Emile Smith-Rowe did really well that I want to point out is when he had the ball anywhere close to the opposition, he just drives centrally, he passes it centrally, he moves it quickly, he progresses it forward. He's got a mixture of what Odegaard has, he's got a mixture of what Havertz has, but Smith-Rowe is just a very useful profile for Arsenal to have. And if I am Arteta, I see why Arteta doesn't want him to go out on loan. But if I am Arteta, I start him over Havertz next game because I think he's a unique player that brings an interesting profile to Arsenal. Now, what I do want to show you is actually just how dominant Arsenal were in that game to make a point. These are the statistics here. Arsenal had 5, Palace 0. Arsenal had an XG of 3.47 to Palace's 0.4. We're going to talk about Gabriel and how good he was and Saliba and how good they were, but you can see expected threat, Arsenal 2.5 to their 0.6. Possession, Arsenal's a lot higher. Field tilt 70 to 29%. Arsenal were very dominant. And even look at statistics here, like the passing network here, you can see that Arsenal very much in control of that midfield. You can see how compact Crystal Palace were. Crystal Palace came looking for that 0-0. Compact, put everyone across the midfield, everyone behind the ball, make it hard for Arsenal to break them down. But Arsenal broke them down. Now, I do want to talk about this in more of a tactical, technical way, because I think there is a lot of points to get into. I will talk about Trossard, I will talk about Jesus, I will talk about Martinelli, all had very good performances, and I will get some statistics up for you guys in a second. But Arsenal, have only sort of been this massive threat from set pieces, but an open play, I don't think they've been at their best. And I think once Martinelli and Emile Smith-Rowe came on, the whole sort of dynamic changed and they looked really good from open play. And I think that 3rd goal that Trossard scored before that happened was one of the best goals I've seen this season in terms of the throw from Raya and the movement and the runs. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant goal, and I think they took that really well, and that was a proper Arsenal goal. But what this says today is Arsenal can score. Arsenal are okay. Because, yes, Arsenal only scored 2 set pieces through Gabriel Magalhaes to begin with, and that might be seen as a bit of a negative from Arsenal fans. I think are just people looking for negatives. I feel like some Arsenal fans are too negative. I'll be honest with you. You've won 5-0, and then there'll be some Arsenal fans saying, yeah, but the first 2 goals had to come from set pieces, or, we weren't good last month. And I feel like some Arsenal fans were writing them off, wanting Arteta out. A lot of people were writing Arsenal off lately because they hadn't had a good month. But I feel like this proves that it was just all this big overreaction about Arsenal. Because yes, they scored 2 goals from set pieces, but set pieces are very, very important. They're a very important way to win games. And Crystal Palace came into that game just begging it for a 0-0. Crystal Palace were going to defend for their life and hope Arsenal couldn't break down that low block. And they did that via set pieces, which unlocked the game a bit more. But you saw Arsenal score 3 open play goals today. Yes, they came in the late minutes, particularly the last 2 coming in like the 90th minute through Martinelli. But all of a sudden, you see Arsenal moving the ball quickly, attacking the ball quickly, playing some free-flowing football and playing good football and scoring nice goals, which shows they can do it. And I think there's been this overreaction about Arsenal. Oh, they're out, it's over, from particularly Arsenal fans and then rivals jumping on Arsenal. But I look at it and I think, well, we know Martinelli can score. We just know that left centre and mid dynamic isn't quite right. And the way Arsenal are playing, they're just not attacking as freely. Now, I think that Emile Smith-Rowe should play left centre mid because I think that's how they get the best out of Martinelli. I think Trossard had a very, very good game. But I watched this as a rival and think this whole thing that Arsenal were out and over and all of that and crap, it's just a big overreaction. Now, I do think that Liverpool and City have an edge on Arsenal. They look a bit better. But I feel like people were giving Arsenal too much stick, too much hate. And I want to talk about Gabriel Magalhaes, actually. He's the first guy I want to talk about because I thought he was fantastic. And then I'll dive into the attack. And then I will dive into all things Arsenal, Saka, Martinelli, and all of that stuff. But I think we have to talk about Gabriel Magalhaes. He was man of the match today. He was phenomenal. Defensively phenomenal. 5 out of 7 aerial duels won, 5 out of 7 long balls completed, 3 out of 5 ground duels won, 1 goal. He basically got 2 goals. And I think it might have been a difficult game had they not scored those set pieces. And I think I see why Arsenal fans are saying, oh, but we had to score 2 set pieces to go ahead. And the ones if we didn't, we might have lost that and not broken them down. Blah, 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 blah. We can't break down a low block, blah, blah, blah. But set pieces are important. Like, you want to score set pieces. I don't know why you're complaining you score set pieces, but I think it was important because I think Palace, as I said earlier, they came for the 0-0. They came to just basically frustrate Arsenal, thinking if Arsenal get to 70 minutes and it's still 0-0, there's going to be that pressure on Arsenal and they might fumble it and all of that as well. But Arsenal kept their head strong. But Gabriel Magalhaes was brilliant today. He basically got 2 goals. I don't think it was really an own goal. I'd have to look back at it again. He was impressive from set pieces. His aerial dominance was there. But defensively, he put on a shift. How many blocks? How many interceptions? How many times was he just there? I don't really remember Crystal Palace doing anything in attack other than Eze having a few good dribbles. And that was because Saliba and Gabriel were absolutely immense. And I think every now and then, Gabriel has a mistake in him, but there's a reason why Arsenal have defensively look class. There's a reason why when people talk about Arsenal, I think left centre mid, striker the priority, and maybe another fullback. They don't think centre backs, but Gabriel Magalhaes, I think defensively is very underrated. There's a lot of people talking about how good he is at set pieces, but defensively I think he's underrated. Saliba gets all the hype, and Saliba is the better of the 2 all round. He's more aesthetically pleasing. But Gabriel Magalhaes is the perfect partner for Saliba because he provides that balance that the Arsenal defence need. Centre-backs is about pairing. It's not what's about the individual, it's about pairing. And Gabriel and Saliba partner each other so well. And this season, you cannot fault Gabriel, Saliba or Declan Rice. Arsenal fans are very critical of their players. They're very critical of David Raya, but we saw what David Raya added today. He was involved in that 3rd goal, which was a brilliant goal. Arsenal are very critical of a lot of their players. Even Zinchenko, is he good enough for the big games? He's been good in the small games. Zinchenko had a good game today. Even Saka gets a lot of stick, and think how good he's been for Arsenal these last 3 years. Martinelli was being written off. But Arsenal have not faulted Gabriel, Saliba and Declan Rice. And Arsenal fans, I feel like, are some of the most critical fans on their own players. And that's because that trio has been excellent. That is the least of Arsenal's problems. They're defensively solid. The defensive side of the midfield is solid. They've got a very good side. They just need to improve that fluidity in the final third. But today, when Emile Smith-Rowe and Gabriel Martinelli came in, all of a sudden, Arsenal flowed. They looked better. I want to point out a few things. I thought that actually Saka was dropping deeper and really helping him build up. And I think that not many people will notice that. But I thought Palace came with this man-to-man press and Saka sort of dropping deeper helped Arsenal break through the Palace man-to-man press. I think Arteta made some good tactical changes. I think Gabriel Jesus, he's a good player, but I see why Arsenal fans are frustrated by him. He can hold up the ball so well, dribble so well, link up play so well, get in the right areas, but he just doesn't have that goal threat, and sometimes he stayed offside a bit. But I thought Gabriel Jesus did have a very good game. I thought that Gabriel Jesus, I can see what he adds. It's just a shame for Arsenal fans that he just hasn't got that clinical goal scorers approach, and I think that's why Arsenal potentially do need a striker. Well, they do need a striker. But I thought that Gabriel Jesus had a good game. I thought that Gabriel Magalhaes had a good game. And as you can see on the screen, Gabriel Martinelli had a good game. I mean, look at this from Gabriel Martinelli. Let me zoom in on this. 86% pass accuracy, 24 touches, 12 out of 14 12 out of 14 passes completed, 3 out of 4 ground draws won, 3 out of 3 tackles, 2 shots, 2 goals. Martinelli comes on for 20 minutes, 2 shots, 2 goals, wins 3 tackles, wins his duels, puts in a defensive shift. And that is the Martinelli of last season. I think that is the Martinelli that Arsenal fans have been screaming out to see this season. I think that's exactly what they've been screaming out to see. This Gabriel Martinelli. And he came on and he was immense. I think Trossard had a very, very good game. But what I noticed about Trossard is he looks better, I think, in those central areas. What Martinelli has over Trossard is I think Martinelli has a little bit of extra pace over Trossard. And I think that gave Martinelli a bit of an advantage when it comes to running and taking on his man from deeper areas. I think Trossard's better in the half space areas, the more central areas high up the pitch, where Trossard can really sort of make an influence in and around the box. So I think there's a good player in Trossard, but he's dropped off a bit. But I think Martinelli, I keep repeating myself, but I think he's such a good player. He's such a talented player. You saw that today. He's not at his best season. But I think if Arsenal play more fluid, they move the ball quicker. I think Martinelli would really suit how Liverpool play at the moment in the transition. They should unlock Martinelli. And I generally think, and I don't know if Arteta will, but if I'm Arteta, I start Emile Smith-Rowe at left centre mid over Havertz, because I think that gets the best out of Martinelli. I really, really do. I think the agility of Emile Smith-Rowe just to turn and drive and play the ball forward, it means that Martinelli gets the ball quicker, where he's in better areas, where he can run at players. And, Arsenal's man of the match today was Gabriel. I think Trossard did have a good game in the end. I thought Martinelli came on, was excellent. I thought Smith-Rowe showed promise. But I think the most important thing for Arsenal today is everyone was saying they're out the title race, their season's over, la-di-la. They've won 5-0. As bad as Palace were, and I think Palace are crap at the moment, Roy Hodgson needs to go. That is Arsenal's statement to say we scored 5 goals, attack should take some confidence. That's our statement, so the fans have some belief in us. But I think Arsenal needed that win as a squad. I said with Arsenal, the title race will depend on them mentally now. And I said this in my title race prediction. I said, will our Arsenal, I think, have the ability to win the title or at least challenge Liverpool and City, even though I think Liverpool and City are slightly better. But I said, it's how Arsenal respond to this blip. They've had that January blip. They've had a blip for a month. It's how they respond to that. If they win a game 5-0, that is what they need, that confidence, that mentality, that belief that it's not over. And I think we saw Arsenal lack that belief when Saliba got injured last season and City came in and took it. Arsenal need to keep that belief. And I think today that win is massive for them because it'll help them keep that belief, if that makes sense. But look, I've just been waffling for like 3 minutes here. So I'm going to end the video here. But smash a like, smash a subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.